Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I have the second biggest question in all of Bible prophecy. The first biggest question is, when is Jesus going to return the very last time? And I don't know exactly the date, but I believe I can tell you that is on the Feast of Trumpets. However, I'm going to talk about the second biggest question today, and that is, I believe I'm going to show you when the rapture will happen. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to show you when the rapture is going to happen. Now, this is assuming that Vicki Goforth Parnell has heard from heaven, and I believe that she has. And I believe it fits with what I've written in my book, what I understand about Bible prophecy. Now, I've already covered this dream probably a week ago, but as I was preparing for another program this morning, I was going to go back through and pull a paragraph or two from it. And all of a sudden, I got a revelation. I saw something in this dream that I hadn't seen before, a new understanding. And it fits perfectly. And I believe it's further confirmation. It tells us when the rapture is going to happen. Now, for those of you that believe that that rapture is a pre-trib rapture, I'm sorry, I don't see that. For those of you who think it's a mid-trib rapture for no particular reason, I'm sorry, I don't see that either. And if your definition is the rapture is where Jesus returns in the clouds to pull you up off of the earth so you don't have to go through any tests, that's not accurate either. Why? Because he's coming back for a glorious church, not having wrinkle, a spot of wrinkle, or any such thing. And right now, the church has lots of spots and wrinkles. So just that one thing would say, the church has got to go through some testing, some trouble to get us to clean up and to get us to repent and turn to him. Now, even if you're living a clean life, that's not the problem, because there's a lot of other people out there whose names are in the book of life, and they haven't even accepted Jesus right now. They aren't interested in receiving Jesus, but you let some trouble hit, and all of a sudden they're real interested in finding out about the future. Okay, so let me show you where the rapture takes place within this particular vision. Now, she had this either 2 or 3 times. And I've talked to her on the phone. I spent about a 45-minute Zoom call with her. And I hesitate to say from anyone that every particular word that they come up with is of God. Because even my wife, Leslie, will tell you sometimes she misses it, and I certainly miss it. So no one is 100% accurate except Jesus, of course. We all, sometimes that's how we learn what is the word of the Lord and what is not the word of the Lord, is by hearing, and then we test it, we watch it, we walk it out, and it may not come to pass. So that's how we learn. But I believe that this one is of God. However, I now think that the middle part of it, at least, might not be applying to 2022. And I'll show you why. So she said this happened 10/31/22, and she had it 2 times. It began with me observing a World War II bomber plane, but it's flying straight up high in the sky. You see, if your plane is powered by props, like the World War II planes were, then going straight up is pretty much impossible. If it's powered by the modern jet engines, even a World War II bomber going straight up, even with their modern jet engines, is pretty difficult. It'd have to have some pretty powerful ones. But if it's operating off of anti-gravity from high technology that we got from the demons, which, by the way, demon means replete with knowledge. In other words, they have all of the knowledge. Remember, that's the reason that God had to destroy the earth, is because they had got all of this knowledge. They were doing all kinds of genetic experiments on both men, women, also the animals of the earth. And you had mermaids, you have centaurs, half man, half horse, half man, half fish, and stuff like that. And they were corrupt in their DNA. He chose Noah because he was perfect in his genes or his generations. I believe when it's saying that it's flying straight up, it's saying this is anti-gravity. In other words, it's technology that have not been released to the public yet. And I believe this part is talking about the day that the Russians attack and destroy America in one day, in 1 hour, so great riches would come to naught, which is not this year. Why it's flying straight up, she says, I don't know. But I'm telling you, that's why it is. This is looking into the future. This is not this year. And it says that. I'm not sure. Then suddenly I hear a voice from heaven say, this is still to come. So it's not this year. That's what it's saying. This is still to come. I'm out shopping looking for a turkey for Thanksgiving dinner. I've gone from store to store and still no turkeys are to be found. Well, we explore the possibility that this could be talking about 2022, because there's certainly been a lot of prophecies about food shortages. But here I am recording this on 11/23 at 12:48 a.m. in the afternoon, and I haven't actually checked, but I haven't heard anybody hearing that we're out of turkeys. So that's another confirmation. It's not necessarily this part also is not taking place in 2022. What am I to do? I hear myself ask. I'm walking through another big store and walk up to the frozen cooler areas where the turkeys normally would be stored, and it's empty. They're all empty. Hanging above the coolers is a large picture of a cooked turkey on a platter with a cartoon person holding a knife and a fork. Across the picture is a huge X over the cooked turkey and the person, and the voice then says, Thanksgiving Day dinner has been canceled. Now, since we know that this is not talking about 2022, that brings the next question, and you're getting closer to the revelation I got about it. So when is this talking about? Talking about 23? Well, we don't know yet, but the big question is, this is talking about if the tribulation has started in 2022, and we do know that it is 7 years long. There's no question about that. Had that confirmed lots of places. Okay, so if the tribulation did start October 5th, as Terry Bennett said, and was hinted to by Vicki Goforth Parnell, then that would mean that Jesus would return in 2029. Now, don't say, Stan Johnson Prophecy Club said Jesus is going to come in 2029. Until I'm ready to say absolutely positively, there's no question, the tribulation has started on October 5th of 2022, then I'm not ready to say Jesus is going to come back in 2029. Now, at what time we're convinced of that, then I'd be happy to say we would know 7 years later, that's the end. But when it says Thanksgiving dinner has been canceled, this could very, very well be 2029 if the tribulation has started. I'm in my apartment speaking to someone by phone. I'm not sure who it is on the other end. I hear myself ask, when can you come for Thanksgiving dinner? What is the day you can give me that you can safely say your schedule will not interfere with you coming for dinner, since we're not able to have it on Thanksgiving Day? Then we're skipping a little bit. I know the person's answering, and I paused to listen and wrote on the piece of paper lying on the table, not after the 14th of November, or they won't be able to make it. I turned to my wall calendar. Now, let me just say, if this is not talking about 2022, and now we know it's not, then the only other time it probably is speaking of is the day that the Russians attack, which, according to my understanding, and according to what I can show you in the Bible, is probably about 4 months before Jesus returns on the Feast of Trumpets. When he returns, I've got a chart. I'll show you that in just a second. So it says not after the 14th of November. That means that the time we would go up would be on about or around in that area. Now, when we go up, that's not a rapture. That's not protecting us from any testing. And I'm going to show you scripture on that. And instead, this is us going to the marriage supper of the Lamb. We have already been tested. We're 4 months from him returning. I can turn to my wall calendar behind me and place an X on the 14th of November, and I say, got it. We can safely plan our dinner. If it's before the 14th, we want to have this last Thanksgiving dinner before we all depart on our grand journey together. Now, don't necessarily get hung up on the word Thanksgiving dinner as we Americans think about it, because the big dinner that we all want to attend is the marriage supper of the Lamb. We all want to be the bride of Christ, but got a question for you. How can you be the bride of Christ if you didn't go to the wedding? I'll say it again. How can we be the bride of Christ if we didn't go to the wedding, the marriage supper of the Lamb? You got to go there if you want to be the bride of Christ. Then the scene changed again. There's a man that looks like Richard Nixon sitting in front of a desk, holding a sheet of white paper from which he begins reading. He says snow is expected to fall heavily everywhere upon our great nation. Dirty snow in abundance by Thanksgiving Day. I don't think that's talking about a suitcase nuke. I don't think that's talking about this year. I think that is the Russians in an all-out attack. As Dmitry Duduman was told, the fall of America would start with an internal revolution, which has not happened yet. Started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with their internal problems. Then, this is what it's talking about. Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 of the countries will attack and defeat America in 1 day and 1 hour. Such great riches will come to naught. This, what says the entire nation is covered by dirty snow, that's not suitcase nukes. I hear my daughter say, oh, we must leave before the snow hits. There it is. In other words, as she says here in this dream, as the bombs are falling, as the Russian bombs are falling, it's saying we go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Now that fits with everything I understand too. And I'm going to show you, I've got that in a chart. Then she asks, Mom, when are our tickets for? What days? I hear myself reply, all who are going can leave at any time, but they're only available. All who are going can leave at any time, but they're only available for those who made the reservations in advance for the journey. In other words, you had to have already accepted Jesus before the day we go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. But I did not specify with the ticket master we wanted to leave as soon as possible. This is the way God gives us hints. He's not going to come out and say, this is when you go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. You got to figure it out, which, by the way, look, if you want to understand this, you need to get my book. Let me just take a second. I've told you many times, but we have a lot of new listeners now. So back in 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I didn't think anything special was going to happen, but something special did start happening. I started getting revelations like I got on this, which I'm about to show you. And all of a sudden, I began to see things. I began to understand things that I'd never seen in the scriptures before, even though at this time I'd made like 3 DVDs on the book of Revelation. I got 30 revelations, 2 visions, and an audible voice. And he showed me the secret door, which is one word, which I'm about to talk about today. One word that links the feasts of Leviticus 23 to the prophecies in Revelation. And as a result, the pattern is not found in Revelation. The pattern of Revelation is found in the feast of Leviticus 23. And when you understand that, what the book does is it puts in the correct chronological order the events of Revelation. So if you want to understand Revelation, get my book, Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, at prophecyclub.com. Now let's go on. In advance for a journey, but I did specify the Ticketmaster we wanted to leave as soon as possible, after we had our Thanksgiving dinner together. Forget the word Thanksgiving. I think that is God kind of throwing us off, because here it is right before Thanksgiving. There's not anybody going to go into the air tomorrow, which is Thanksgiving. Not going to happen. But what it may be talking about, if the tribulation has started, that would be in about 7 years from now. That's when the marriage supper of the Lamb could be taking place. That's the revelation for this. This may be not 2022, but maybe if the tribulation started, that would be 2029 when this takes place. Let's go on. I hear my son say, Mom, I changed my mind. Can I and my kids come? Son, I replied. You know, I think there's still time since it's not Thanksgiving Day yet. Well, forget the word Thanksgiving. There's still time to get saved right up until the marriage supper of the Lamb. Then even after the marriage supper of the Lamb, you can still get saved. But after the marriage supper of the Lamb, if you don't get to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb, then you didn't get to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Blessed and holy are they that are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Doesn't mean they're not saved. It's just that they already know that they are saved. Right, let's go on. Are you sure you want me to contact the Ticketmaster? I've already told him when I have been talking to him that I want you and my grandkids to come. He said he would hold 3 positions open for you. All you had to do is accept them. All you got to do is accept Jesus. That's what it's saying. All you have to do is accept him, his tickets, and you could come. Then, yes, Mom, he said, we want to come. Cheers erupted in the room as the joy of having our family go on this journey together filled our hearts. Then the scene changed again. Now, before I get to the real big revelation here, holidays are really tough, at least for our ministry. So if God has blessed you and you could help us, we would really, really appreciate it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So we're on a plane, both family and friends, about to take off. We're filled with happiness and joy, and there is a man in the blue uniform standing in front making an announcement. His captain's hat has gold trim, but there's gold trim and gold buttons on his royal blue uniform. The color of God is royal blue. His shoes are shiny black. His shirt is crisp white, and he needs no microphone or speaking device. And his voice, now that's, remember, Jesus shall descend from heaven with a shout with the voice of the archangel. Same voice. Device, and his voice is heard by all the sound of rushing waters. That's part of the revelation. This is your captain speaking. You are on a one-way flight to heaven. You need nothing but yourselves. Enjoy the comfort and peace of my Rapture Express. Now, again, if your definition is the rapture means you don't have to go through any testing, then you misunderstand. But if you understand that the rapture is us going to the marriage supper of the Lamb about 4 months before Jesus returns the final time, then you are correct. Then suddenly his eyes begin turning into flaming fire, and he says, let's go, my bride. See, there you go. Boom, bingo. It's not Thanksgiving Day. It's the marriage supper of the Lamb. He tells us, again, that's part of the big revelation I got. This is not talking about 2022. If the tribulation just started October 5th, as Terry Bennett said, if it did, then this is talking about 2029. This is talking about when America is attacked by Russia, my understanding of it. Let's go on. Shouts go up as he walks into the cockpit, and we begin our ascent into the air. I looked outside the window for a moment. Snow. I see snow starting to fall, but it's dirty. In other words, as the Russian bombs come down, got it? We go up to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Now that I can agree with. That Jesus is going to return on some sunshiny day in the merry, merry month of May. We're walking down the street. Jesus returns in the sky. No, it's not going to happen. Everyone must be tested. Snow, I see dirty snow falling, but it's dirty. It's fallout. I'm an observer, and I see the dirty snow has covered our nation. This snow has a deadly effect on our land. Why? Because it's radioactive. Next, my eyes begin looking as my vision expands to the waters around our nation. I see ships, boats, submarines. This is not suitcase nukes. It's not suitcase. It's not this year. I see ships, boats, submarines, drones, all types, variety shapes, different flags on the top of them, many nations. Remember what the vision that Michael Buldea had, where he saw the snake that had many stripes, many colors on it, many nations. It is a massive army from the waters and the skies. I hear the voice from heaven say, now is the time for this. When? Okay, so this is saying when the bombs come down, we go up. I can agree with that, and that sounds like good Bible to me. Now, let me explain it a little bit differently. So the first segment of her dream is the Dmitry Duduman Russian attack. It'll be observing the World War II bomber, but it's flying straight ahead. This was from her dream. This is still to come. The second segment then jumps to the marriage supper of the Lamb, which is, I believe, about 4 months before the Feast of Trumpets or Jesus returns. You're on a one-way flight to heaven. Let's go, my bride. That is the marriage supper of the Lamb. Then you skip down. The next thing is the Russians attack. That's when she sees the ships, boats, submarines. So we see the Russian attack. We see we go up. So the bombs come down, we go up. That's what it's basically saying. And then I hear a voice from heaven say, now is the time for this. Now, let me explain this according to my chart. And I can't go into all of this. You got to get the book. It's way, way too complicated to try to. As a matter of fact, that's what the last vision was. Told me to write a book because God told me that some things cannot be learned audio and visual wise. Some things must be typed out, where a person can slowly read through word for word and slowly think about it and research it. Like one lady, I was I was in line signing books at one of her meetings, and she came up and she says, "I want to tell you something." She says, "I'm an avid reader." She said, "I read 2 or 3 books a week, and I always have all of my life." She says, "I got your skinny little book in the mail." She said, "I thought I'd blow through that in 2 or 3 hours." She said, "That was 2 weeks ago." Because secret door to understand Bible prophecy, while it's not complicated, it's deep, and it helps you to understand if we are in the tribulation. It helps you to understand the world which you now live in. Now, I'm about to explain to you how this all works out. And I know I'm short on time, so get the book. Get the book. The only way you're going to understand is get the book. Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. By the way, the best deal is get the 40-book package for $100. But anyway, let's go on. So the next time Jesus returns, I'll show you the scripture, is right here on first fruits. He walks around for 50 days, and then we go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. As the bombs fall down, Babylon is fallen, we go up. Bombs down, Christians up. I like that. Go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Jesus comes forth and serves us for about 4 months. 4 months later, we are given a white horse, as is Jesus. And Jesus returns with the 2 angels that has the 2 sickles, and with us and the armies in heaven in tow. Then he returns with the marriage with the morning star, and he destroys the armies of the earth. That's the judgment seat of Christ. That is the judgment by fire. So that fits. Jesus returns the next time on first fruits. Then on Pentecost, 50 days later, we go up, bombs come down. I like that. I like that timing. 4 months later, Jesus returns for the final time to destroy his enemies. All right, so here's the verse that tells that Jesus is going to return 2 more times. One on the Mount of Olives, that's at the Feast of Trumpets. This one is not at the Feast of Trumpets. This one is at the Feast of First Fruits. And I'll show you that. Okay, so in my opinion, this blows a pre-trib, pull me in the sky, I don't have to go through any trouble, out the window. I looked, and lo, a lamb, who's the lamb? That would be Jesus, stood upon the Mount Zion. That's not the Mount of Olives. The Mount Zion is about a 20-minute walk from the Mount of Olives. It is not the same mountain in Jerusalem, so it's not the same return. The Bible, I think it's Zechariah 14, clearly says Jesus returns to the Mount of Olives. That's not Mount Zion. Now, I'm going to skip the rest of it. I know there's a lot. I'd love to explain it, but I'm running out of time. Then you go down 4 verses later, it says, "These are they which are not defiled with women, for their virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits." Here it is. That's it. The first fruits unto God. Meaning, these 144,000 one-year-old Jewish boys, I'm not explaining that, get the book, have been resurrected, and they are the first ones to come out of the grave since Jesus came out of the grave, the first ones to get their glorified bodies. Yes, I know there's been other people coming, but this is the first one that got the glorified body. It clearly says they are the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. Now, that fits in with the overall scheme. Then we go to Revelation 14:3. This absolutely positively proves it's not the day of Feast of Trumpets. I heard a voice from heaven saying to me, this is still Revelation 14, "Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord henceforth." Okay, so these are Christians, but they weren't ready. Who gets to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb? Only those that are ready. "Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them." So there are some Christians that are alive, that are serving the Lord, but for whatever reason, Jesus says they're not ready to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb, but they don't lose their rewards. But they just don't get to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Henceforth, they are not the bride of Christ. How can you be the bride of Christ if you didn't get to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb? Doesn't mean that they lost the rewards, though. Okay? The next time Jesus returns is going to be on the last first fruits. He resurrects 144,000 one-year-old Jewish boys. 50 days later, then we go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. As we go up, the bombs come down. Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord henceforth, because they were ready. 4 months later, we return on white horses with Jesus, and we watch him use the morning star to destroy his enemies. 10 days later, it's the atonement, or the great white throne. As further motivation to get this word out, this was a prophecy. This is not a dream or vision, an angel visit, but is a prophecy given to Dimitri Dudman. Awaken, my people, says the voice of the Lord. Be passive no longer. Draw closer today more than ever for the day of my vengeance. That would be the day of Feast of Trumpets or Armageddon. The day of my vengeance is ready to begin. I will shake the earth from its foundation, and I will require punishment of all those that say they do my will, yet through what they do, they blaspheme my name. I will punish prophets, preachers, singers, and all those who do a work, yet they do it for their own glory. I will judge and punish the entire world. Only those that today sit at my feet in meekness, weeping and worshiping me, asking for my help. That's another reason why you want to have a prayer closet. Asking for my help will rejoice in the protection of the arm of the Lord on that day. There is nowhere you can hide from the eye of God. Liars, imposters. Now, here's the problem. See, I know the people that would be watching and made it through the broadcast at this point, you're already saved. You don't need to be hearing this. Okay, so then why does God speak it if only the people that don't need to be hearing it would be listening? Because he speaks. And whether they listen or whether they don't listen, judgment still falls. So if you are listening to the program to this point, that should be telling you that A, you are a watchman. B, Ezekiel 33:6 says, if you don't spread the word, then their blood is on your head. I suggest you stop sinning, repent, and turn to Jesus with your whole heart. All you have to do is say, Jesus, forgive me. First of all, I like to say happy Thanksgiving, and I also like to say one of our big sponsors that keeps us going is Joseph Kitchen. But Joseph Kitchen has an unbelievably good special going right now, the Black Friday sale. They're giving away free wheat and free shipping, and it's all explained at josephkitchen.com. Buy 3 the same size, get 1 size free, red wheat only, and there are the promo codes. Again, go to josephkitchen.com. And then you also want to get yourself at least a machine package. That's the equipment you need to make the bread. Then you choose whether you want to have food for 6 people a year, 4 people 1 year, 2 people 1 year, or 1 person 1 year, all at josephskitchen.com. Also, Joseph Kitchen has a new item, new creamed honey. And I've actually tasted all 4 of those, and they are really good. So if you want to have something to make or to put on your toast, your bread toasted, there's 4 very good options. josephkitchen.com.